rotting driftwood on the foreign shores, spilling out into the ocean floor, and the memories all you've left without a trace. Paralyzed with the thoughts receding, current sweeps you with the silent bleeding through the heart into the darkest place. Well, turn around, there's nothing to see here. Run away, no reason to be here. It's the ghost who never goes away. Turn around and leave this behind now. You see the ground as it bleeds in the sky now. You fight the sea, you're always gonna drown. All the secrets that you're holding, all the memories you hide, all the frail thoughts that echo in the corners of your mind, they won't even last a moment. They will soon be swept away when the ocean takes you in its arms and carries you away. You carry all your burdens on the cross around your neck. You take whatever's left that you could salvage from the wreck, and the hard past will follow you like a lost dog on the beach, nipping at your trail till you've drifted out of reach. Yeah, turn around, there's nothing to see here. Run away, no reason to be here. It's the ghost who never goes away. Turn around and leave this behind now. See the ground as it bleeds to the sky now. You fight the sea, you're always gonna drown. In a broken line horizon, in the castles made of sand, you tried to hold it in your hands, you tried to understand it. The ocean asks the questions, and it holds the answers too. It dissolves away the lies about the things you thought you knew.
Hello, my friends. 'Tis I, Dame Amateur Kali Ranya. My heart and my sword are yours. And 'tis I, Adulath Karakai II, bastard son of a real bastard. Your hearts are mine. Good day, everyone. I'm kind of enjoying this ad hoc schedule of streaming on an every other daily basis. Kind of feels good to get live that often, but without going like every night and burning myself out. I have, as always, been tinkering with stream technology things in between sessions. The most notable thing here is probably that I did get my bigger, more expensive microphone up and running. I'm not sure about the, volume levels and filters on it, so definitely let me know how the audio is sounding if you are in the chat and tuning in. I appreciate the feedback, given that everybody tells me that my voice is the draw, the highlight of these streams. I want it to come through as clearly and brightly and at the right level as I can manage. My, meters look good, but other than that, I've never really gotten the hang of monitoring my own voice mid-stream. My brain doesn't have the right tracks to process that, I think. Anyway, we are returning for my current recurring stream series, Stories from Soul the Gundog. We are in the 4th chapter of the game, though that is kind of a subtle thing behind the scenes. It's only marked on the saved games as far as I can tell. In this chapter, our protagonist, Security Officer Lieutenant Ranya, is helping troubleshoot an emergency situation aboard the JFS Gundog, a Swift-class patrol vessel that is part of the Jovian colonial fleet. Hello, Roinicorn. Good day to you. The trouble going on with the Gundog right now is that we met up with a fellow patrol craft that we were supposed to conduct maneuvers with, some kind of mission or operation, but is just briefly after making contact, there was a sudden and massive systems outage. The ship is completely shut down, with no communications in or out, no power, no life support, no engines, just dead in space. We have managed to get in communication with other members of the crew via handheld, battery-operated radios, and are currently attempting to locate the captain's security codes necessary to reboot the ship's central computer. To that end, we have just entered the captain's quarters, which are, for some reason, flooded with a horrendous smell that the protagonist is choking her way through. That's where we've come up to. Anything you think is worth mentioning, Adelath?
Well, the girlfriend is knocked out on the bridge.
Right, yes. When the power outage or the EMP attack or whatever it was struck the Gundog, our girlfriend and immediate supervising officer, Lieutenant Commander Quinn, seemed to be struck with a headache and fell unconscious. So one of our personal important objectives is trying to get her to the sick bay to get checked out to figure out what happened to her and to get her better. But at the moment, we need those codes. So it's time to explore the captain's quarters. Rhinocorn, if you're still there, how am I sounding today? I'm on a different microphone, so I'm curious if I've got that set up nicely or not. Captain, are you... are you in here, Captain? With no answer, you carry on deeper into the quarters. As you grow accustomed to the smell, you begin to pick up the unique odors that it's comprised of. Sounding normal? Okay, good. The first scent that you identify brings back memories of your early flight training, the acidic tang of vomit. The second takes you a little while longer, sour and chemical. You wonder for a moment if it's one of the substances they use to strip paintwork from ships or armored frames, but then you spy an empty bottle on the desk and realize what it is: stale whiskey. Sick, huh? With the cause of the captain's absence now obvious, you look around the room. To the left is another closed door. To the right you see an open doorway and what looks like the end of the bed. Captain? You call out again as you head towards it. Although your reason for being here is entirely justifiable, you still feel a bit hesitant about barging in. Captain! Nothing. Alright, Captain, I'm coming in. We need those... Having stepped through the doorway, you find yourself in a room that's much closer to a normal bedroom than the crew quarters. Rather than access panels flush with the walls for storage, the room has actual furniture. A chest of drawers sits below a large mirror, and a bedside table is right next to an unmade, queen-sized bed. For a moment, you think that, like Cassie is wont to do, the captain has just thrown her worn uniform onto the bed and left it all in a heap. But before you turn back, a sluggish movement as the mass of crumpled clothing turns over reveals it to be Captain Bartermuse herself. Ah, Captain! You throw a salute and hold it for a moment, before you realize that the captain is completely oblivious to your presence. Tentatively making your way towards the captain's bedside, you register that the smell of stale whiskey is strongest in her immediate vicinity. Okay, damn. Alcoholic captain, that's something of a trope, but getting absolutely vomiting, pass out drunk the night before we're supposed to rendezvous? Oof, that is not good. As you look around, you notice another bottle lies mostly empty, with a small pool of amber liquid left in one of its corners. Captain. You run your hands back through your hair and sigh loudly. Regardless of all this, you remind yourself, you're here to get the emergency input codes. Captain! Hey! Captain! Captain Bartermuse! You place your palm on the captain's upper arm and rock her gently. Assuming there's a reason for being drunk at this specific time, yeah, there's gotta be more to the story here, yeah. At least I hope so. Captain, come on. You need to wake up. We need your emergency input code. Captain, wake up! Captain! Captain! You step back and pinch the bridge of your nose with your thumb and forefinger. Despite everything, it doesn't seem the captain will be waking up from this stupor anytime soon. Ugh, come on. After everything. If I can't get the codes from the captain directly, maybe she keeps a copy of them around here or something. Worth a shot. Alright, time to look around. A painting of the first colony fleet to enter Jupiter's orbit. If I remember my civics lessons, they were funded by a wealthy Terran industrialist who had them built to serve as habitats for a workforce that would harvest resources from Jupiter and her moons for his company's sake. After a few decades, the population had enough of existing with no autonomy and living on company scrip, so they took control of the fleet and petitioned to join the Solar Federation. We all know how that ended. Now, Adela, don't get any ideas about the vulnerable captain here.
Excuse me. I'm not a predator, Kali.
Right. Just had to, check. Okay. A pretty nice desk. It must be where the captain does all her work when she's not on the bridge. If that's the case, then, as I thought, it's got a few drawers at the back next to where she'd sit. If the codes are anywhere, they'd be in there. Okay, so I'll finish my look around and then I will try using the desk, running through the drawers. An empty bottle of whiskey, aside from a few leftover drops. Europa Colony Special Blend. If the captain's got an actual bedroom, I wonder if this is a... It's an actual bathroom, alright, but now I know where the smell of vomit is coming from. What was I expecting to find in there anyway? The captain's bedroom. It's actually pretty nice. This is the first time I've seen a captain's quarters, so I didn't know they were this different. Privilege of rank, I guess. I know I've seen Cassie hand the captain printed reports and status updates. Maybe she's still got a copy of those codes in here. You try to open the top drawer, but the small amount of initial give stops almost immediately as you hear a clunk. You try a few more times and then spot a keyhole to the left of the drawer. Checking the second and third drawers gives you the same results. Locked, of course. I'll have to find the key. Ugh. So are we hiding the evidence from the rest of the crew to keep trusting the captain up? Don't need a mutiny here? Good question. I think, given the urgency of the situation, my priority is on getting the codes, and I will leave the captain to the image scrubbing operation when she wakes. But, yeah, it might be a concern. You were uncomfortable enough making your way in here in the first place, but now that you're about to rummage your way through the captain's personal effects, you feel even worse. Let's get this over with. Doing a quick scan of the room in the hopes that the captain may have left the key on top of the chest of drawers or her bedside table proves fruitless, so you tentatively step back inside. Nervously looking back to the captain's comatose form every few moments. Sorry about this, Captain. Standing by the chest of drawers, you lay your hand on its top and drum your fingers before nervously pulling the top one open. Seeing only folded clothing inside, you close it quickly, going on to repeat this process for the next two drawers, finding nothing. Feel like Lord might see opportunity to gain rank. Yeah. There could be all sorts of awfulness that goes on there. Yeah, Lord and Hanson trying to form their own little power block. I guess Haru too. And then the engineering arm folks would be in another faction. It'd be a whole mess. Stepping back, you take another look around. The only immediately obvious place left to check is the drawer in the bedside table, right next to the captain. Moving over to it, you squat down beside the unit, acutely aware of the captain sleeping right next to you. In the low light, it's next to impossible for you to make out the contents of the drawer, so you have to settle for reaching inside and feeling your way through. Hello, Mortham, my dear. What's up? What are you so startled by?
I'm sure he's just shocked and awed to see me again, perhaps.
Running your fingers over the various contents, you try to figure out what's in there. A thin plastic surface with regular bumps, which feels like it has a foil underside. A small glass bottle with a series of raised dots just under the label. Various individual papers. Aha! You grab a hold of what feels like a keycard kept clipped onto a lanyard and pull it out of the drawer. The metallic jangling sound that comes with it is quickly revealed to be a keyring featuring various different keys. One of these has got to be the key for those. Uh-oh. Oh, shoot. What sort of voice did I give the captain? She was kind of so feminine, but was often kind of bored. Lieutenant. You freeze in place with your hand half out of the drawer, holding onto the captain's identity card and keys. The captain is cute, of course. Even when, blackout drunk with huge bags under her eyes, yeah.
Look, see, I'm not even alone anymore. Now I have good company and flirting with everything that shows its face in the game, right?
Much to my chagrin, yes. You hadn't seen her stir, but in the blink of an eye, Captain Bartermuse managed to reach out and grab a hold of your wrist. I'm just following orders. That's a terrible thing to say in just about any situation. We can make a proper explanation of the situation. Chagrined? Sort of gritting my teeth and, displeased, that kind of thing. Has the Kali vocabulary daunted you once again, Mortham? It's just part of my and Adalath's banter. I'm always making fun of him for his skirt-chasing ways, and he's always making fun of me for my supposed uptightness and straight-lacedness.
Supposed, says the Dame Armiger of House Ranya.
But skirt chasing is fun, yeah.
See? Yeah. Mortham's a bro. He gets it.
Sigh. The captain's grip on your wrist isn't particularly strong, but the shock has rendered you perfectly still. You slowly turn your head to face her and see her lazily gazing at you through the darkness.
Lieutenant?
You hold on to your breath for a moment, then exhale slowly, calming yourself.
What are you?
Composing yourself, you speak calmly and quietly. I'm sorry, Captain. It's an emergency, and I've come to get your input codes.
Emergency?
All the ship's systems have gone offline. Commander Quinn has collapsed. I've been working with Chief Cathy's and Lieutenant Lord to get your codes so that we can get the ship back online. The captain blinks groggily a few times and releases your wrist, drawing her hand back to rub her eyes. As she does, you slowly take the keys from the bedside drawer and stand. Thinking about it, having the captain incapacitated with drink on the eve of the crux of the mission does, if nothing else, help set us up as the protagonist of the situation, where if the captain were in command, we would just be running around following her orders. We wouldn't really have the agency that you'd want to have a protagonist in a video game, right? Right, Accord. Skirt chasing is an idiom, a turn of phrase. We're not literally chasing the article of clothing.
Well, it can work as a sort of lure coursing rabbit. You know, if it's what you can see, if it's what you can get a hold of.
That's why I'm here. I thought the codes might be in your desk drawer, but I needed the key. We're both so cute. Although you're doing your best to maintain your tone and demeanor, on the inside your heart is racing as you consider the possibility of being given a court-martial here and now. Wait a minute, an entire court? Just with the captain? Judge, jury, executioner, Captain Bartermuse? That's not really the right turn of phrase here. I think it would be like being stripped of rank, being, oh god, what is... like, demoted, maybe, you know... What is the term for when a captain... levies a punishment against a crew member? Maybe there isn't a specific term, I don't know.
Sounds important.
Well, yes, ma'am. I'd say we all consider it pretty crucial right now. The captain continues to gaze at you as you stand to attention in the darkness. After a moment in which you think she may have fallen back to sleep, she rolls onto her back and brings her hand to her forehead.
The printout with the latest access codes. It's in the second drawer.
You breathe a sigh of relief as the captain rolls to face away from you.
Just don't read the report.
Ma'am? You wait for a few moments, but eventually a gentle snore emerges from the crumpled heap that is Captain Bartermuse, and you relax. Second drawer. Thanks, Captain. You got the captain's keyring. Alright, let's see. Which one? You spend a few moments working your way through the selection of the keys that hang from the ring on the end of the captain's lanyard. You're able to discount a few based on their unusual shapes, but finding the right one is still a tricky task in the dark. Eventually, you find one that slides easily into the lock and turns the mechanism, which lets out a surprisingly hefty clunk. The captain said the codes were in the second drawer, so... You open that drawer first and purposefully leaf through the collections of papers, reports, and files that it contains. So wait a minute. It's dark enough that it's hard to see the lock that we're putting the key into, but we have enough light to read by? Oh well. Crew manifest, security updates, aha! You see the telltale tractor feed edges of the printer paper that you've seen Cassie produce updates and reports for the captain on, sticking out from underneath the manila folder. As you lift the paper out of the drawer, the folder on top begins to spill its contents. You quickly grab it to stop everything from falling out, and as you do, you can't help but read its title. JCF Naval Investigatory Commission Findings, Incident 00784, 2109-0209. Subject, Rear Admiral M. Bartermuse. Here's another odd little thing that annoys me, that we would still be in this, using this kind of... Well, never mind. I take that back. This is slightly annoying to me. Not as annoying as I momentarily thought. So, the date order, right? It's day, month, year. I don't think that, like, it would be worse if it were month, day, year, which is the bizarre convention often used here in the States. But I really think that the precise and most usable way of doing dates is year, month, day, because then everything sorts nicely, even if all you're doing is sorting it by number. Year, day, month. 2025, 26 May. I can only imagine that is used in some places, but I don't think I see it very often. With what you believe to be the printout that would contain the codes in one hand and this report in the other, you look back towards the captain's bedroom as you remember her instructions. Just don't read the report. You hesitate for a moment, rereading the title. Rear Admiral. Okay, chat, are we gonna be nosy? I, of course, am inclined to just put it back. It's not my business as a lieutenant of the fleet to disobey the captain's orders and start digging into her past. Whatever that investigatory commission found to strip her from rear admiral rank and demote her to captain, they still found that she was capable of serving as a ship captain, and that's the role that we find her in, and that we are a subordinate officer to her in. Honestly, with the captain getting very drunk on duty, we should probably know.
Alright, we've got one vote from chat saying that we should pry into the necessary information about our apparently unreliable captain. Mortham says pry to. Let's tear it open, Ranya.
Alright. Adelath and chat are always more chaotic than I am, so here we go. You stare at the cover of the report for a few moments before looking back to the printout, then the captain's bedroom. Placing the printout back in the drawer, you open the folder and begin to leaf your way through its contents. You skim the first few pages, which outline the investigation's intention to assess the actions taken by Rear Admiral M. Bartermuse in the battle in lunar orbit. Following on from that are a series of diagrams and charts that you recognize to be ship movements sorted by time, followed by annotated or captioned stills taken from ship or armored frame-based recording devices. As you work your way through them, you see what they're being used to illustrate. A squadron of JCF ships pulls away from the main fleet and is eventually intercepted and then decimated by the enemy. The final photographs show the few remaining ships returning to the fleet in a state of disarray, with all of them suffering extensive damage. As you move past the pictures and diagrams, you flick through pages that outline a breakdown of the losses. Ships, armored frames, pages and pages of crew member names. Eventually, you get to the last few pages of the report where you skim through the conclusion. This inquiry finds that by leaving the defensive position for an unsanctioned offensive, thereby opening a point of access through the E-field, Rear Admiral Maris Bartermuse, significant loss to armored frame groups. Wait, E-field?
This is Kalika 6. They've cut off the flight path. There's more. There's a whole squadron of carriers coming in from E-field. Kalika 1. They're going to cut you off from the fleet.
Kalika 6, respond. Kalika 6, what's going on? How many carriers are coming in from E-field? You stop and lay the report on the captain's desk, staring at it, rereading the conclusion again and again. Adversely impacted flights included Theba flight, Karma flight, Karpo flight, Kalika flight. You close the report and place it back into the drawer. Almost mechanically, you reach for the printout you'd been handling a few moments before, and methodically scan through it until you see what you're after. Classified Core System Access Codes. Generation date 2004-0214. For Captain and Second only. You slowly rip the relevant page from the rest of the document at its perforated edges, then fold it up and slide it into your pocket. After this, you methodically place the rest of the paper back into the drawer which you slide closed. You got the access codes. With the codes in your possession, you calmly make your way back towards the corridor outside the captain's quarters, where you've left the PST. As you approach the doorway, you absent-mindedly take hold of the radio and push down the transmission button. Okay, Chief. Lieutenant Lord, I've got the codes. You release the push-to-talk button and wait. You give it a moment, but instead of more instructions from the Chief or some kind of backhanded congratulation from Lieutenant Lord, all you hear is a powerful hiss of static. Chief? You try again. Lieutenant Lord? Still nothing. Anyone, come on. You give the radio a shake and spend a few moments adjusting the frequency dials, but you still don't hear anything from anyone, just the hiss of static. For a moment, you feel like throwing the radio down the corridor, but instead you slump against the nearest wall and hold your head in one hand. Slouching against the wall in the low light for a moment longer, you sigh loudly before turning and kneeling down by the PST, which you begin to pack back up. You've got the codes, you just can't get them to the Chief over the radio. The next best thing you decide is to get them to her in person. You clip the latches on the PST closed and pick it up as you stand, turning to make your way through the darkness towards the four-side thoroughfare. Okay, we must need to go to the... Oh, that's right, the aft thoroughfare. With the radio in one hand and the PST in the other, you quickly make your way down the four-side thoroughfare towards engineering. As you approach the central hub, you hear Hansen still calling out from the partially open elevator. Come on! Oh wait, sorry, Adelath, this is your, role.
Right, thanks. Come on! There's got to be someone on this damn ship that's out there. I can hear you. Come on, help me!
Stood in the darkness out of his view, you pause for a moment till you can hear him move away from the elevator doors. What you'd been doing had been important enough to justify leaving him stuck in there, but at this point you feel guilt beginning to gnaw away at you. Despite that, you are moments away from getting the codes to the chief, and there have been enough delays as it is. Thinking it over, you take a deep breath and... They're giving us a third chance. That's pretty wild, huh? Alternative plan stuff lured in there too. By this point, while I think we should have freed him earlier, I am very curious what happens if we just stick to it and be like, no, just leave him there. I took a sip of carbonated beverage, a bit too, ambitious a sip apparently, as I'm hiccuping. Okay. I don't know, if they're giving us this many chances to change course, there's gotta be some interesting consequence for sticking to it, right? Even if it's proving our protagonist to be kind of an awful person. Excuse me. Oh no. Pro streaming tip, don't use sparkly water for your stream hydration because it causes issues like this. You don't think the pro tag is awful for this? Hold it for, okay, yep. Need more sparkles in my sparkling water. You want this to be a hiccuping and belching ASMR stream? Outside of the huge blast door that separates the aft thoroughfare from the engineering department, you begin the increasingly familiar process of unpacking the PST. Carbonated water becomes watered carbon. Alright, I set up the PST. First withdrawing the cable, then plugging it into the terminal near the door, you boot up the device and begin cycling through the options. Like the "wanna have some tea with your sugar" thing. Okay, and then... With the device set up, you hit the enter key on the unlock option and turn your attention towards the partition that stands between you and the engineering department. Unlike the other doors the PST's battery power had been used to open, this blast door is inches thick and comprised almost entirely of solid steel. You watch tentatively as a low grinding sound emanates from the ceiling for about 10 seconds before the door even begins to move. Like the others, the opening process is agonizingly slow. In the darkness of the thoroughfare, time seems to lose all meaning as you watch the door almost imperceptibly work its way upwards. Upwards? The way that the door is depicted on screen makes it look like it would open from the middle and panels slide to the right and to the left. But maybe the zigzags in the middle there are just paint stripes. I don't know. After a few minutes, the barely noticeable progress comes to a halt and the low grinding sound stops, with the blast door giving you just over a foot of clearance between it and the floor. Turning your attention back towards the PST, you see a graphic of an empty battery with a cross through it blinking on the screen. Oh no. Knowing that the blast door is being kept open by the device's dwindling battery power, you drop to the floor and, grabbing the PST, begin to crawl forward into engineering. Well, that's kind of a cool shot of our determined heroine, right? There's just enough clearance for you to worm your way underneath, but the smooth paneled floor turning to grating makes it an uncomfortable experience. By the time you make it halfway through, with your feet still sticking out in the aft thoroughfare, the grinding noise that had stopped at the door starts back up again. Oh, look at this expression! Oh dear. It's very much this look, right? New profile picture unlocked. That's kind of tempting, actually. Hang on. I can save that for later. No, 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 no! You shove the PST ahead of you through the small gap, being mindful to not yank out the cable plugged into the underside of the terminal. Ignoring the grating now, you quickly screw the rest of the way until you're clear of the door. Then, rolling your onto your back, you grab the PST's cable and give it a swift tug, pulling it out of the terminal on the other side and back to you just before the blast door drops shut. That was way too close. You stand up, then quickly pick up the PST, which still has the low battery warning blinking on its screen. Chief! Your call is met with the oppressive silence that somehow seems worse in the vast space of the engineering department. Chief, it's me, Lieutenant Ranya. I've got the PST. Chief! Making your way past various systems, terminals, stations, and machinery, you continue to call out to the chief, but there's no response. Where the hell could she be? As you continue your way deeper into engineering, you grab the radio. Chief! With how things have been going, losing a hand or leg there seemed almost inevitable. But our protagonist is rather quick thinking. I mean, I certainly, in that circumstance, would have thought to get myself through as quickly as possible. That's obvious. I don't think I would have had the presence of mind to grab the PST. I think I would have been cut off from it in that circumstance. Just like the last time you tried, no one answers and all you hear is static. Chief! You dart down different catwalks trying to find the chief, your mind racing as to where she could be. Chief! With the low battery warning illuminating your face in increasingly small intervals with its constant flashing, you stop. Looking down at the PST's screen, you make a decision. Well, I've done everything else myself. Turning back from the main section of engineering, you make a beeline over to the room that holds the central computer, your footsteps on the grating echoing throughout the silence. I may as well finish things. As you begin to run, the PST starts to beep and the battery symbol flashes even more rapidly. If you're running out of battery, then don't use what you've got left flashing and beeping. Running at full pelt now towards the central computer, you reach it just as the PST's whole screen begins to blink, cycling between showing the warning and nothing at all. Dog has started pacing. How long have we been live here? About 45 minutes. Okay. That's not unusual for him, I suppose. So I am going to take a short stream break here to get the dog outside, and I will see you lovelies all in a few.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Okie doke. That was swift and simple. There's must be some sort of Memorial Day parade or fair or something going on in the neighborhood, because there's all kinds of noise out there. Honking and cheering and yelling. Yeah, thank you, Unicorn. Good to be back with you. Okay. Once you arrive at the doorway that leads to the central computer, you know what you've got to do. Oh. Wasting no time, you withdraw the cable and hurriedly plug it into the terminal with one hand, whilst scrolling through options with the other. Come on, hang in there, come on, almost there. And now, there. As soon as the door begins to open, you jump to it and start pushing on it in order to force it open. Once you've made the gap large enough, you slip through at the exact same moment as you hear the PST power down and the door slides back shut. It takes a moment, but your eyes adjust to the darkness of the room. Looking around, you see that it is little bigger than a cleaning cupboard or a crew member's shower cubicle. Masses of thick cabling run from the ceiling and floor along the walls, towards the end of the room opposite the doorway. On the far side is a huge screen with the keyboard positioned below it at about waist height. Stepping towards the interface, you run your hand over the keys. The computer shows no sign of life even after you begin to push random buttons. Simply mashing the keyboard doesn't produce any response. So instead you begin to feel your way over its casing in the darkness, trying to find what might be a power button. Eventually you find a rocker switch set into the side of the device. You flick it to the alternate position once, but nothing happens. With no other options, you flick it back to the position it was in. This time the screen illuminates and you hear electronics come to life.
Wow, we literally turned it off and back on again.
I guess that's the joke, yeah. As a hard drive somewhere beyond the screen begins to whir loudly, the screen transitions from its boot screen to a password input screen. After everything you've been through, you're now one input away from getting the ship back online. Finally, alright. And enter. With the final flourish, you strike the return key. An immense feeling of satisfaction fills you as you watch the computer work its way through the startup process. Names of systems show up and are followed by their status changing from offline to active. A faint draft runs down your neck, which you take to mean life support and ventilation is back online. Alright, hold on, Cassie, We did what apparently no one else could, but our victory is incomplete by the look of it. Wait, what? No, come on! You're hit with a gut punch of panic as the visuals on the screen begin to warp. Fragments of text scatter and lines of code split and distort, whilst a strange noise squeals from the machinery. Don't do this! Unsure of what's going on, but beginning to think that it is your fault, you look over the keyboard again, repeatedly striking any key that seems like it may stop this process. End! Escape! Pause! 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 Come on! What? What's going on? As suddenly as it started, the computer's erratic activity ceases, with the only document left on screen Cassie's personnel file. Cassie's file? Wait, why? You pause, unsure whether you should do anything or leave it as it is. You can tell from the ambient noise that it has returned that the ship is back online. But why would the computer freak out like this? Why would it pull up Cassie's file? No! Doing your best to understand what you just saw, you tentatively reach a hand towards the keyboard. You're still unsure of what you could do to find out what just happened, but can't help but feel like whatever it was wasn't right. Ranya, I need you up on the bridge right now! You withdraw your hand, instead grabbing the radio to answer Lieutenant Lord. Alright, I'm on my way back now. How's Lieutenant Quinn doing? There's no time for her! Get up here now! You curse under your breath as you turn to leave the room. You've learned now that if Lieutenant Lord doesn't intend to be helpful, she won't be. Rather than attempt to argue, you make your way through the ship back towards the bridge. As the elevator doors hiss open, you step onto the bridge. You see Lieutenant Lord frenziedly flicking switches and turning dials on an instrument panel, stopping every so often to type commands into her station. Cassie, meanwhile, remains unconscious on the bridge floor. I'm here, Lieutenant. What else is wrong now? You hurry over to Cassie and kneel down, sliding your hands under her back and legs, in preparation to pick her up and take her to the newly accessible sickbay. Don't forget to sneak a kiss. Well, I mean, that's probably fine. It's the O'Brien! With a single movement, you stand and bring Cassandra up from the floor. What about it? It's gone! Maybe these things are the chapter markers. The little date stamp dealies. April 23rd, Planetary Calendar 214. Despite the successful reactivation of the JFS Gundog's central computer by Lieutenant Ranya, the JFS O'Brien could not be contacted and was no longer coming up on sensors. After taking Lieutenant Commander Quinn to the sickbay, Lieutenant Ranya, alongside Cadet Grange, are tasked with sweeping the ship for faults or damage, while Lieutenant Lord sets Chief Cathays to work helping her locate the other ship. The JFS O'Brien is eventually located, just as Captain Bartermuse calls an emergency meeting. Outer Jovian space, the bridge of the Jovian patrol ship JFS Gundog. As you, the Chief, and Lieutenant Lord stand to attention, waiting for the captain to begin the meeting, the sound of an approaching elevator is the only noise that can be heard in the tense silence of the bridge.
Ensign Hansen Kreese, entering the bridge and reporting as ordered.
Hansen states, performing a lazy salute as he steps out of the elevator and onto the bridge. You shift slightly as you watch him enter. You knew you were waiting for someone, but why Hansen? He pauses for a moment and you see him take stock of everyone present. Your shoulders tense up and you inadvertently clench your jaw as he looks towards you. There's a slight delay, but he eventually heads over to the opposite end of your small line and takes a place next to Lieutenant Lord, assuming a posture that resembles standing to attention, but definitely does not meet regulations. You relax your shoulders and jaw just as the captain finishes reviewing the readouts from the control panel on her chair and stands up. at ease. The four of you relax slightly, although with the exception of Hansen, you all maintain a formal stance. Now that we're all assembled, we can begin. First of all, well done to all of you for your actions whilst I was indisposed. For a brief moment, the captain's eyes meet yours, and you do your best not to react. Aside from the doctor, you were confident that you were the only person on board who knew the nature of the captain's indisposition. Despite your best efforts, you scowl slightly. You hadn't had much time to think about anything beyond the situation at hand, but the information in the report you'd read had begun to creep into your thoughts. You knew that now wasn't the time to bring it up, but eventually you'd need to deal with this information in one way or another. Closing your eyes and exhaling, you try to return your face to its neutral consonants, and hope that the captain didn't notice that flicker of emotion. As you push your thoughts regarding the report to one side, you instead find yourself wondering if the captain is currently in a fit state to be organizing a mission. Your cooperation, ingenuity, and composure under pressure have been noted, and I will be recommending formal awards be applied to your records. Out of the corner of your eye, you notice Vanessa nod in agreement, but the rest of you remain still. Now, on to the matter at hand. As of 11:47 Javine Standard Time, a signal of unknown origin was received, which shut down not just the Gundog's central computer, but all of its emergency backup systems as well. With Commander Quinn unexpectedly taken ill, Lieutenant Lord took command and Lieutenant Ranya was able to carry out her plan to access the hangar via the external airlock. You'd been too busy carrying out an assessment of the ship's systems alongside Dalton to submit an incident report, and you know that the chief had been tasked by Vanessa with locating the unresponsive O'Brien. You bite your tongue and glance back to Vanessa, who nods again, the corners of her mouth curling upwards. The captain was clearly working from a biased interpretation of events. From there, Lieutenant Ranya was able to obtain a portable sub-terminal and the codes for the reactivation of the central computer, a process she carried out successfully at 1327. Although the Gundog is now operational, we have not been able to make contact with the O'Brien. We can only assume that whatever interfered with the Gundog's systems had the same impact on the O'Brien. Unfortunately, it would appear their crew have not been able to reactivate its systems as we have received no communications from them whatsoever. Chief Cathays, do we have an update on the O'Brien? The group turns to look at the chief as she steps forward, and you realize this is the first time you've seen her outside of engineering or the hangar. Although she stands as tall as ever, there's something about her presence that feels diminished.
Yes, ma'am. We've not had any response from the O'Brien's transponder, and the normal sensors haven't been able to pick up any of the usual activity from a ship. However, You hear Vanessa and the chief pauses briefly before continuing. That is, Lieutenant Lord and I realized that by using the infrared targeting sensors and fire control, we could pick up the O'Brien itself as if it were debris. We've located it at 43 degrees off the starboard bow at a distance of roughly 300 kilometers. Resolution gets a bit scrappy at that range, but we're not seeing any external signs of activity.
I see. Lieutenant Lord, how long until we can dock with them to provide assistance?
I think the chief is best equipped to handle that question, ma'am.
The chief pauses for a moment. You know the answer to this question, but so should the chief and Vanessa. As the silence drags on, you begin to wonder why neither of them are forthcoming. Chief Cathays. The pause only becomes more loaded as the seconds pass. Whilst you have no idea what's happening here, you can feel the tension between the chief and Vanessa build. Answer the question or stay out of it. I don't know, Captain didn't address me. And clearly there's something going on that I don't know about, so if I answer the question according to my knowledge and it ends up that there's some circumstance that means it's wrong, that Vanessa and the chief know about it, I'm just gonna look silly, so I'll stay out of it. As the tension fills the room, you shift awkwardly from one foot to the other. It wouldn't surprise you if Vanessa was trying something to get one over on the chief somehow, but thinking of your recent argument, you don't want to get yourself caught up in her machinations. You decide to remain silent, doing your best not to attract any further ire from Vanessa. Chief Cathays, I asked how long until we can dock with them to provide assistance. The chief grits her teeth and answers hesitantly.
We won't be able to, Captain. The engines are still offline.
The forced shutdown engaged the safety mechanism, which ended the reaction. Because I've been helping... Vanessa's sharp cuts off the chief, who falls silent for a second before carrying on. I haven't had the opportunity to restart them yet. It's a 6-hour process. The captain lets out an exasperated sigh as she hears this information, making no effort to conceal her frustration. You'd always thought of her as distant or disinterested, but considering her current state, you had to wonder how much of that was her simply working her way through a hangover. I see. The captain stands silent for a moment, keeping her eyes closed and pinching the bridge of her nose with her thumb and forefinger. Suddenly her eyes open and she stands completely upright, assuming a posture you're surprised to see from her that manages to communicate an air of not just authority, but capability. We'll be carrying out a mission as follows. The four of you snap back to attention. Even Hansen seems to take this announcement seriously. As we're not able to reach the O'Brien with the gun dog to provide support, we'll be doing the next best thing. Ensign Kreese and Lieutenant Ranya will head over in an armored frame to provide assistance. You clench your teeth and your body goes rigid. Not only would this be your second trip into space in the span of a few hours, but you'd be doing it with Hansen for company. Your eyes dart across to Hansen, whose attention remains on the captain. You can't be sure, but you swear you see a flicker of a smile on his face. We'll be working on the assumption that the same issues affecting the gun dog are affecting the O'Brien, so... Lieutenant Ranya will take a portable subterminal, locate the captain or second in command, and then utilize their access codes to assist their chief engineer in reactivating the ship. If there are complications, or we're too late, then our second priority will be to obtain the O'Brien's black box. At the very least, we can hopefully gather some information on what's out there that could immediately disable 2 Swift-class ships. Yeah, spacewalk with our bestest of best friends. Lieutenant Ranya and Ensign Kreese, do you both understand? The pair of you salute and in unison respond. Yes, Captain.
Yes, Captain.
Chief Cathays, I want you to provide a fully charged portable subterminal and guidance on removing a Swift-class's black box. After that, prepare Gun Dog 1 for launch, and then I want those engines back online. Understood?
Yes, Captain.
Lieutenant Lord, you'll be overseeing this mission. Understood?
Yes, Captain.
Very good. It's 1603. This mission commences at 1630. Dismissed. With this final instruction out of the way, you all salute the captain and then turn to leave. The chief is the first of you to reach the elevators, and she steps into one without waiting for anyone else, pressing the button for her destination and disappearing behind its 2 doors as they is shut. Without paying you any attention, Vanessa and Hansen both step onto the remaining elevator, with Vanessa hitting a button as soon as the pair have boarded. As the doors close, you see her turn to Hansen, cross her arms, and begin to speak, but her words are cut off before you can hear them. You remain on the silent bridge with the captain, who you hear return to her chair. Whilst you wait for an elevator to return, you go over what you might need to do in your head. It will be the Chief's responsibility to get you a charged portable subterminal, and Hanson and Dalton will be responsible for pre-flight checks. Aside from getting a spacesuit from the hangar, you realize you don't really have anything you need to do before the mission starts. With less than half an hour to go before you'll be taking off, you don't have much time to do anything either, though. You might have the opportunity to visit a few other crew members to check in on them, you think, but it might be a push to visit everyone. Eventually, the elevator the Chief left in returns and the door hisses open. Alright, so we absolutely 100% have to check on our girlfriend. No objection here. Well, for once, you and I are of a mind. As the elevator doors open, you're immediately confronted by Vanessa standing in front of you, her arms crossed and her foot tapping impatiently. Well, it took you long enough, Lieutenant Ranya. You sidestep her and make your way into the central hub. As you do, she turns to follow you. My apologies, Lieutenant. I didn't realize I was needed so urgently. Well, I wouldn't go that far, Ranya. Your frustration with Vanessa had cooled over the past few hours, as you'd spent time with Dalton and had been carrying out duties that kept you well away from her. But back in her presence, you remembered how tense things had got between you on the bridge and over on the radio. Lieutenant Lord, I've got a mission to be preparing for. Is there anything I can help you with right now, or can I get going? It's nothing much, Lieutenant. I just wanted to say that you did a good job on getting the gun dog operational again. Something about Vanessa's manner makes you instantly uneasy. Considering how she'd behaved recently, praise was the last thing you'd expected. We can be gracious, though. I mean, she's probably got an angle, but being suspicious openly isn't really gonna do us any good, I don't think. Yeah, thanks. I did what I had to do. And for that, you've received a much-deserved commendation on your record. You roll your eyes and begin to walk away again, unwilling to deal with whatever mind games Vanessa was attempting to play. Wait a moment, Lieutenant Ranya. All I wanted to do was congratulate you. You deserve it as a member of the crew who's gone above and beyond. What's this about, Lieutenant? You ask, your patience thinning rapidly. Straight to the task at hand. That's what I like about you, Lieutenant. Now, a proficient, able crew member like yourself, you know what it means to do your duty, but you've seen how the captain and her second carry out their affairs on the ship. What are you getting at? All I want to know, Lieutenant, is whether you think that crew members like yourself, Chief Engineer Cathy's, Cadet Grange, and the rest deserve a competent commander? Oh no, yeah. She is indeed angling for the captain's chair, isn't she? I really don't have time for this. Your recent discovery about the captain comes back to the front of your mind, but instead of answering, you make a move to walk past Vanessa, fully intending to not get involved in whatever she is planning. Lieutenant Lord, I really don't have time for this. Based on your recent conduct, Lieutenant, you seem pretty reliable, so I wanted to let you know ahead of time. I'll be keeping a close eye on this mission to see who's capable and who isn't. It's important to know who you can trust to do what needs to be done, after all. Anyway, nice to talk with you, Lieutenant. Good luck on the upcoming mission. With that, Vanessa turns on her heel and heads off down the four-side thoroughfare, leaving you alone in the central hub. Oh, Lieutenant, do your best. I'll be watching. Oi.
Say what you will about me, but even I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole.
Not that you have one to use. The elevator doors slide open and you raise your hand to shield your eyes from the aggressive glare of the sickbay's powerful lighting. As you've come to expect, the strong scent of clinical disinfectant pervades the room. As harsh as it is, it's infinitely preferable to the powerful odor of the captain's quarters. Scanning the room, you see that everything seems in order. The doctor sits at his desk, absorbed in his datapad. All the medical supplies are carefully arranged in their cabinets, and the surgery wing continues to look immaculate. The only thing out of place is... There she is! Callie! Cassandra, who had been idly laying back on one of the beds playing with her hair, had seen you the moment you'd stepped into the room and swung her legs out around to the side of the bed, launching herself off it and towards you. I heard all about how you'd... Whoa, Cassie, careful! You dart forward just in time to grab her before the stumble she'd taken turns into a fall. Alright, let's get you back to the bed. Thanks, Kelly. In one swift motion, you scoop Cassie up in your arms and carry her back to the beds, setting her down on the one she'd just been lying on. Okay, I think I could have made that journey on my own, you know. Well, better safe than sorry, right? Still looking after me after everything you've done already. My hero. Your cheeks go flush and you look away for a moment. The captain's acknowledgement of your actions had been so perfunctory that it barely registered, but Cassie's wholehearted praise has you suddenly feeling sheepish. No, it wasn't a big deal. It was just what I had to do. I'm pretty sure anyone else would have done the same thing if they were in my position. Don't sell yourself short, Callie. It is a big deal. Saving an entire crew from a complete system failure with no chain of command isn't exactly something that we get trained for. Plus, I didn't hear about anyone else going on a spacewalk from one end of the ship to the other to get the equipment they needed. If doing all that doesn't make you a hero, I don't know what does. You smile and look back to Cassie. As self-conscious as you feel, being called a hero, her assessment of events isn't wrong. Thanks, Cassie. I'm pretty sure I should still be thanking you, Callie. I don't think Vanessa could have carried me down here like you did. You bite your tongue at Cassie's mention of Vanessa. You had a strong feeling that Vanessa wouldn't even have tried. You push the thought from your mind. You don't have much time with Cassie before your mission is due to begin, and the last thing you want to be doing is thinking about Vanessa. Don't worry about it. How are you doing, anyway? Oh, me! I'm doing great! Aren't I, Doc? Although he doesn't look up from his datapad, you see a flicker of recognition on the doctor's face.
No, Ms. Quinn, you are not doing great.
Huh?
You had a sudden and intense migraine, followed by an unexplained extended loss of consciousness, which in turn has been followed by a persistent and an ongoing headache.
Oh, you know what? This doctor is sufficiently masculine that I should probably turn this over to you, Adelath, right?
Well, it's all the same voice box, Ranya, but sure, feel free to light me up when Dr. Rosarium is speaking. I would not look to describe your condition as great.
Cassie, why didn't you tell me you were still feeling bad? Oh, come on. What are you, my doctor?
No, Ms. Quinn, she is not your doctor.
It's an expression, Doc. So, I've got a bit of a headache right now. I bet it's nothing. It's probably because I pulled a double shift to cover the captain, without eating anything but a bag of chips and 3 chocolate bars. Cassie.
Ms. Quinn, you'd advised me you'd been sticking rigorously to the NutriShake schedule I'd laid out for...
Okay, everyone, jeez. I know, but here I am, hydrated and full of electrolytes on doctor's orders. I'm going to be fine. So anyway, How are you doing, Kali? Are you able to finish your shift now that the gun dog's back up and running and you've made sure everything's okay? Well, actually, we've not been able to make contact with the O'Brien, so I've been ordered to head over there in an armored frame. Oh no, honey, that seems really... with Hanson. Oh, honey, I'm sorry. How are you feeling about it? I'm not looking forward to it. If I'm being honest, I'm really not looking forward to it. You let out a deep sigh as various thoughts about the mission fill your mind. Oh dear, pardon. Didn't meet myself in time for that one. I'm not sure what's going to be worse, being stuffed inside an AF with him for the flight over, or having to work with him once we get on board the O'Brien. I'll be his superior officer whilst we're over there. I don't even want to think about how he'll take that. You taper off as you begin to mentally run through all the terrible outcomes you can imagine coming from such a situation. Hey, don't worry about it. As much as Hanson is like he is, he's still a part of the JCF and one of our crewmates. He likes to throw his weight around where he can get away with it, but I don't think he'll do it on an important mission. I think he's a little too proud to ruin his reputation as an ace pilot by starting a fight inside of his AF. Besides, once you're on the O'Brien, you can just get to work helping the other crew and ignore him. Well, that's the other thing. It looks like whatever happened to the gun dog has happened to the O'Brien. Since we've not been able to identify any activity coming from them, there's a good chance that their crew hasn't made it. Oh no! Yeah. Hey, come on. They may not have got their ship back up and running, but maybe they've got their own savvy chief engineer who has figured out a solution that keeps them all safe. And on top of that, if they're really lucky, they got their own heroic security officer who's saving the entire crew right now. Yeah, you're right. I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah, I'm not... So, one has to wonder how many hours that a ship like this will support a crew with an inoperative life support system. I would think that it would be a while. Like, not days and days, but hours, I would think. So I'd be very surprised if, like, everybody's dead already. I mean, maybe for the convenience of the writing of the game they are, but I don't know. I'm holding out some optimism that we'll meet some other character over there. I don't know. Yeah, with emergency power, I was more like thinking, like, if the systems, you know, are completely out, just whatever air is currently in the compartments, right, in just already out in the corridors and the rooms, all the compartments, like how long would that just last without any further circulation or supplementation? Plus there's, like, if anyone could get to any of the spacesuits, that would extend some of their time, so on and so forth. Like, I think there could be a chance. Okay, oh, well, then again, I guess it's talking about that right now in the narration. Let's see. You do your best to match Cassie's enthusiasm, but you hadn't forgotten the chill in the air of the gun dog just before you got it back online. One of the first signs that a ship wouldn't be able to sustain its crew for much longer. That had been over 3 hours ago. Hey, Kali. Whatever happens, it'll be alright. You've already done incredible things today. Way more than anyone could ever have expected. You're gonna be alright. Thanks, Cassie. Besides, you said you'd book us tickets for that new water park in the Europa cluster. I'm not going to let anything happen that'll stop us from going. Now get out there and nail this mission, Lieutenant Ranya. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so we've had that checkup. I don't know how much time that consumed. If we have any further time, I'd like to talk to the chief. As you make your way into the engineering section, you relish the various sounds coming from the now functioning machinery, the thrum of moving parts, the buzz of electrical systems, the repetitive pulse of various cooling systems. With your newfound appreciation for the activity taking place all around, you wonder if this is how the chief feels. On that subject, "Hey chief, you around?" You call out, doing your best to shout over the noise. "Chief?" You wait a moment but get no response. Looking around, you can't see her anywhere. Must be in the engine room. Moving from the engineering section into one of the engine rooms, the first thing that strikes you is that the huge, turbine-like machinery that fills the majority of the area is now still. You'd got so used to their constant motion and regular thrum that after your first few security reviews you'd stopped noticing it, but now that it was absent, the stillness of such a huge space made you uneasy. The only saving grace was that with the cavernous structure of the engine room no longer filled with the sound of the engines, you could hear the chief's analytical monologue echoing across the expanse. You wouldn't have to do much more than follow it to its source to find her. So that's detectors 1 through 7 calibrated against the background gamma and signaling baseline. Now if I can... Hey chief, how's it, And no blockages in the coolant flow. No warping exterior heat sinks either. Chief? Huh? Oh, it's you, Lieutenant Ranya. Don't you have a mission to be getting ready for? Well, yes, but I thought I'd check in on how you were doing before I had to leave. Oh, well, everything's as fine as it can be down here. The loss of power didn't do any damage, as all the failsafes for a hard shutdown kicked in because of... Not the ship, Chief. I wanted to check in on you. Huh? I'm fine, Lieutenant. I just need to get these engines back online. I would have had them online already if Lieutenant Lord didn't have me waste all that time finding the O'Brien. Once I told her that we could find them using the infrared targeting sensors, she should have left it up to Gunner D's and let me get on with things. Yeah, the Chief is a striking one. She can tune up my engines anytime. I could have got back to figuring out what's causing the problems with our long-range communication system by now. Maybe even... That's something else I wanted to ask, Chief. What was happening between you and Lieutenant Lord on the bridge? I've seen what she can get like, but I didn't think she'd be that way in front of the captain. Alright, Lieutenant, you know what? I've seen what you'll do for this ship and the crew, so in my book that makes you alright. So I'm gonna let you in on a secret, in case you hadn't figured it out already. The only reason any of us are on this ship is because the JCF don't know what to do with us. Not bad enough to dismiss or court-martial, but too much of a liability to crew anything important. And I know that includes me. As a union woman, I've butted heads with enough of the brass that they've used every trick in the book to get me out of the way and onto my last warning. Oh god, even more reason to love her. Union lady. Hot damn. Let's have some collective action in my bunk, huh? So, when Lieutenant Lord realized how pissed the captain would be that the engines hadn't been reactivated, she threatened to pin this whole mess on me. But she'd report the decision to delay the engine's reactivation as mine if I didn't back up her story. Whole thing makes me sick. Some of us actually have important work to do and don't have time to be playing games with the crew to worm their way to the top. As much as I hate going along with it, I'm stuck for the time being. Jeez, I didn't realize Vanessa could be so...
But don't worry about me, Lieutenant. I'm a big girl. I can look after myself. I'll figure out some way to deal with her. You just worry about getting back from the O'Brien safely, you hear?
Thanks, Chief.
Don't mention it. Although one thing, Lieutenant.
Yes, Chief?
Don't interrupt me when I'm clearly in the middle of something extremely important.
Ah, yes, Chief.
Now get out of here.
Yes, Chief. Ship of undesirables, yep. A ragtag crew, a misfit crew. Do we really still have time? Who else would I even want to talk to? Dalton, maybe? Oops. Halftime? What about halftime? As the ship's gravity disappears, you slowly float down the final few steps leading into the hangar. Once your almost weightless feet connect with the steel flooring of the catwalk, you kick off it and towards the guardrail, grabbing it before you float past and bringing yourself to a stop. Ahead of you are the typical sights of the hangar, but for the first time since you'd boarded the Gundog, its expanse is filled with noise and motion rather than the usual near silence and stillness. You see Dalton floating from one segment of the furthest armored frame to another, clearly in the process of carrying out its pre-flight checks. Yes, I did say I wasn't sure if I had time to check in with more people. Do you have a question about that? Like, what? As he arrives at each new part, he opens an access panel, checks the hidden machinery and mechanisms underneath, and then slams the panel closed, occasionally stopping to take one tool or another from his belt to apply adjustments to the frame's inner workings. Alongside the erratic slamming of panels and whirring of electronic tools coming from Dalton, you also hear the back and forth of bickering between Hansen and Vanessa. You watch as Hansen, donning his flight suit, snaps at the lieutenant and then kicks off into the empty space of the hangar, swiftly followed by Vanessa, who does not let up on whatever it is she is trying to discuss. If you missed what the time pressure might be, we left the bridge a couple minutes after 1300 hours, and the mission is supposed to commence at 1330. So there was only supposed to be a limited amount of time for us to go around and check on people before we had to convene at the armored frames. Glancing at your watch, you see that it's almost the scheduled time to depart and start the mission. No use putting it off any longer, I guess. Doing your best to not draw the attention of the squabbling Hansen and Vanessa, you wait until Dalton turns your way and then wave at him, gesturing for him to come over to you once you've caught his attention. Hey Dalton, how are the preparations going? Lieutenant. Oh, no, that's right. Adaleth declined to voice Dalton. Lieutenant, preparations are at ease, Cadet.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, ma'am. Don't worry about it. Everything alright, though?
Oh, yeah, everything's fine, thanks. It's just that this is the first time I've actually had to prepare an armored frame for a real mission. Every other time it's been for a drill or a test or something. I really don't want to screw it up.
Hey, take it easy, Cadet. I'm sure you've done a good job.
But what if I've done something wrong? Then you and Ensign Kreese would...
Slow down a second, Dalton. Sorry, ma'am. No problem, Cadet. Just take it easy. But tell me, have you ever screwed up any of your armored frame drills before? Well, no. Or any tests? No, I guess not. So why would you think you'd done something wrong this time? I mean, I'm sorry. I guess I was just getting a bit nervous. It's alright, Cadet. We all get a bit nervous the first time we have to do something for real. But I've seen how hard you work and what the chief puts you through, so I'm sure you've got it all done up to her standards. Thanks, ma'am. Although, she always makes me double check the actuators. What if I've forgotten the actuators? Ah! Okay. Alright, time to submit ourselves to our hour of reckoning. As Hanson and Vanessa continue their argument, oblivious to your presence, you maintain your grip on the guardrail. It's almost time for the mission, so you could get ready to depart, but if you got anything you wanted to do before you left, now would be the time. Was there anything I needed to do before I set off? Nah, I think we're good. The other thing I could think to do is like go grab a snack from the mess hall or something. But maybe that's not a good idea right before going into ZRG. Although the prospect of the upcoming mission makes your stomach drop, you take a deep breath in, hold it briefly, and exhale slowly, calming yourself. Boy, this game features an awful lot of breathing exercises. I don't know, I think it's kind of cool that that's just a beat that this main character has, but I don't know, it's funny, it's a little unusual. Gathering up your resolve, you kick over to the storage lockers near the hangar entrance and remove a flight suit from one, pulling it on over your normal uniform. It had taken you much longer to get the suit on earlier, but thanks to that unwelcome refresher, you now slide it on relatively effortlessly. After closing the clasps on the last of the suit's seals, you take the helmet from the locker and tuck it under your arm, turning back to face the main hangar. You're very mindful of the oxygen intake, yeah. Hanson and Vanessa's bickering doesn't seem like it'll end anytime soon, so with a weary exhalation you float forward, vault over the guardrail and kick off it, sending yourself towards Hanson's armored frame. Lieutenant Ranya, reporting for duty. You announce loudly as you grab onto the shoulder of the armored frame. Vanessa stops mid-sentence and turns to look at you. She doesn't say anything, and after a second turns back to Hanson, who she moves closer towards, dropping her voice and carrying on her discussion. After a few moments, Hanson rolls his eyes and pushes off the hangar ceiling, floating past you and into the open cockpit of the Juno.
Ensign Kreese, ready for departure.
He states lazily before disappearing into the armored frame just as Vanessa arrives, having followed him towards the machine. Well done for making it on time, Lieutenant. I'm glad you could join us. Have you got everything you need for the mission? I don't see you carrying a PST or a guide from the Chief on removing the O'Brien's black box, didn't you?
Hey, Lieutenant.
The Chief's loud call comes from the hangar entrance, and you see her heading towards you with a large off-white object under her one arm and a middle folder in her hand. As she's halfway across, she launches the object at you. Although you manage to grab it with your free hand, its momentum pushes you back into the armored frame, and you hit it with more force than you'd expected. It takes you a second to recover, but once you do, you realize that the Chief's just pitched a briefcase-sized portable computer at you, the PST. By the time you're able to find its handle and get a grip on it, the Chief arrives at the Juno and holds onto the machine. I had to grab the one you'd left in engineering. I've charged it up, but these devices get pretty thirsty, so it took a while. And here's instructions for removing a black box. The O'Briens are swift like the gun dog, so there shouldn't be any difference in procedure as long as you follow this to the letter. Ignoring Vanessa, the Chief offers a manila folder containing a few sheets of paper. Rearranging your hold on your helmet, the PST, and your grip on the armored frame, you just about managed to take the folder from her. You got the black box guide. Hem! You glance back to Vanessa, who hovers behind you, an increasingly deep scowl forming on her face. Before you have the opportunity to acknowledge the lieutenant, the chief lays a hand heavily on your shoulder, returning your attention to her and almost making you drop the folder. Don't forget, Lieutenant, the PST needs access verification to open doors, so your ID won't work on the O'Brien because you've not been assigned to it. You'll need to use the ID of one of the O'Brien's crew to get anything working. Oh, right. Thanks for the heads up, Chief. If that's the case, would you mind hanging on to these until I get back? Sure thing, Lieutenant. Anyway, I've got engines to be reactivating. Although I've already queued up the startup reaction, so now I'll, Chief Engineer Cathays! Right, we both got things to be getting on with. Good luck out there, Lieutenant. With a final pat on your shoulder, the Chief launches herself off the armored frame and back towards the hangar entrance. Chief Engineer Cathays! Vanessa yells whilst using you to pull herself forwards, her lower lip quivering with anger as she watches the Chief pass over the guardrail and towards the stairwell leading out of the hangar. Although she remains silent, you can see the rage building in Vanessa, her slight frame seeming as if it could explode at any second. As subtly as possible, you attempt to make your way to the Juno's cockpit without attracting her attention. You've already noticed that Dalton has disappeared from view, and you hope to achieve the same thing before the lieutenant can direct her scorn at you. Unfortunately, as you lower yourself into the Juno's cockpit, the casing of the PST strikes the armored frame's surface, resulting in a loud clang that reverberates through the empty space of the hangar. Going somewhere, Lieutenant? But leave quickly or back away slowly. As Vanessa glares at you, waiting for your response, you meet her gaze and keep your eyes firmly locked on hers. Instead of answering, you slowly and silently continue your way to the cockpit entrance. Once there, you turn and duck inside, quickly pulling the lever that closes the hatch behind you. Don't you dare ignore me, With the hatch closed behind you, Vanessa's yelling is immediately cut off, and all you can hear is the gentle hum of the frame's subsystems. Once inside, your eyes quickly adjust to the low light, with the only sources of illumination being the occasional backlit dial or readout. If we don't move, she can't see us. Like a T-Rex. Oh dear. I'm starting to feel a little bit fuzzy-headed. I might take the commencement of our mission here as the moment to wind downstream. Maybe I will take a short nap before it's time to dig in on yard work and so on and so forth. So this was a slightly short stream, but you know, it's a holiday morning, kind of ad hoc. Why not? You've been fuzzy-headed for a few hours now. Listening to Kali's voice makes you fuzzy-headed. Cute. Well, pleasure to be of service, my friend.
Oh, she wants your service, alright.
Shush. With that, I'm gonna move on to the end card. I'm kind of liking this, like, every other stream pace, or every other day streaming. That seems pretty nice. So maybe I will get together a collab or something on Wednesday and actually go live with it. I think that would be good. So look forward to that, my friends. Also a faint chance I might stream something tomorrow night if I'm feeling ambitious. Until then, my friends, live with honor, and your heart is unassailable.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Let me go, there's no doubt this small town. You took my heart from me. Now you're everywhere I see. Set me free, let me fly. Let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score. We've been here once before. So many words unspoken. You took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait. I can take the pain. I will surrender. Let me go on a new adventure. It's my time, watch me build another life. Find another space, explore the world and find my place. Hope you find some peace of mind. Hope the night was worth your time. Threw my heart away, we won't see another day. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken. You took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait. I can take the pain. I will surrender. Let me go. It's a new adventure. On a new adventure. Adventure.